So in part one, I went over what got me into Subaru, but these first couple years were really formative for me because it set a lot of things into motion. Now, I'm not saying that buying a new Subaru will change your life, but in my case it did, again, because that car set a lot of things into motion. I loved the car, so therefore I was telling everybody about it, so therefore I was kind of already set up to work for Subaru. And by the time I had my first oil change with my 2012 Impreza, I was working for the retailer that I had bought it from. And that was my first real full-time job, benefits and all that other fun stuff. So that also set a lot of other things into motion. I finally had good income so I could get my then girlfriend, now wife, a ring, and proposed, and then got a house, and then we got married, and then we got a corgi, and then all this other stuff just starts going. And I keep looking back to how all of it started, and it comes back to that first car. It really changed a lot of things for me, and I think that's why I have such a strong love for Subaru, is because of all the things that have come just as a result of getting into the car, getting into the brand, into the people around it, and all of the great things that go with it. So the first couple years with Subaru were a lot of fun, but you're not here to listen about my home projects, you're here to see the Subaru stuff. And I also had a lot of fun with that first 2012 Impreza. And then I ended up getting another and got into rallycross. So that's what we're gonna get into today. The first year was full of a lot of driving. I was coming up with just about any excuse I could think of to go take it for a spin, because a lot of Nebraska's roads are straight and flat or suburbs and boring. So I did everything I could to go try and find some fun, twisty, turny roads following along hills and bluffs and things like that. Then when I was done finding those, I went out and found all of my Subaru friends that I had just made and would go out and drive them together. So we started doing a lot of scenic routes, especially that first summer that I had the car. It was a lot of fun to put those together, and whoever was willing to tag along, or whatever folks wanted to come drive and bring their cars, it was a good time. And it was great getting to know other folks and checking out all their cars and going to events together. Now, some of the events that I went to were already kind of set up for us. At the time, there were other people in the group that were really helping contribute to events. There was this big one that we went out to in Lincoln, Nebraska, to the retailer there that they put on for us. There was the Super Meet that Nebraska Subaru Owners Club had put on, where I think a little over 60 cars showed up to an all Subaru event, and we all went out and took a nice big scenic route together. And everybody was pitching in and having a good time, and it was a lot of fun getting to know those folks in those initial years. I really have a lot of fond memories of finding back roads and having fun with them. And then it came time to have a little fun with mine. My car went through a couple of exhaust upgrades and changes in the time that I had it, just trying to get things right. And it was a lot of fun working with folks that really knew what they were doing, and just kind of trying to help make that stuff really come to life. And this really got me into modifying cars, and I learned a ton then.
Give us some RPM. What does it have, a 4,000 RPM?
Yeah.
Huh. That sounds better than a BRZ. It does.
From that point on, it's safe to say the modifying bug had bit me pretty hard. But luckily, thanks to being part of this group, I met a lot of great folks that were more than capable of helping my crazy ideas come to life. And every now and then, weekend would come up and we get together and work on stuff and make something happen. And it was a ton of fun transforming this car into what I wanted. About a year after working at a Subaru retailer, I got to learn how to drive manual and had become proficient enough at driving one that I decided to add one to my fleet. So I went out and found a 2000 Subaru Impreza 2.5 RS Coupe. And while it needed a bunch of work, it was still a ton of fun to drive. And I didn't really know what else to do with it other than to repair it, improve it, and have some fun with it. And boy, was it a blast to drive. So after seeing some folks in the Nebraska Subaru Owners Club that were doing rallycross, I figured maybe I could try my hand at that. So in the off season over the winter, I found every gravel lot and road and dirt stretch that I could to try out the car and see what I could do. And it was a ton of fun learning car control and trying to figure out how to handle slides and everything without killing myself, obviously. So as I continued to improve the car and make it, less of a death trap to drive, because it had shot suspension and shot brakes and shot this and shot that, I got it running enough to the point to where it was time to go to rallycross. And boy, was that a ton of fun. Get in your car, grab a helmet, go out and dodge some cones in the middle of a grass field. It's a great time. And rallycross really illustrated to me not just how much fun cars could be, but, gave me ideas on what I could improve with my car to not just to better suit it for rallycross, but just to make it a better driving machine in general. And it was so much fun in those first years with the rallycross program to come to terms with driving and handling and just getting sideways in the dirt and having a good old time with my friends. I really loved those first couple years of rallycross, and it kind of became the gateway drug for even more rally nerd stuff later on. The journey I had with working on this whole rust bucket was relatively short given the breadth of how much work we put into it. From rust removal and just basic repairs to upgrades to suspension and wheels and tires to things to make it better for rallycross and also just better on the road, more fun to drive. There was a ton of cancer to cut out of this thing, and every time we improved something, I just felt it come back through in spades, whether it was how it drove or how it looked or anything that I improved. Feeling those improvements over the years was so rewarding. And we even gave her a heart transplant when we found out that cylinder 4 wasn't holding a whole lot of compression anymore. And man, what a journey with this car. What a transformation. And I'm so proud of not just what I was able to do with it, but with all the folks that lent a hand and made it happen. It was an incredible journey. I keep coming back to these first couple years as really forging my love for Subaru. And it wasn't just the cars. It was the people. It was the community. It was these events, the racing, everything that was getting wrapped up into all of this great Subaru-ness. It was really, I'm nostalgic about that time because of how important it was to me. Yes, my life was changing and evolving in great ways, but around it, this awesome community was just getting better and better with every turn. So next time, we'll move things up a gear. We may even add a gear. So stay tuned for part 3, where we get into going from a fan to actually getting into rally, where we do more fun stuff with cars and have a little more fun with events as well as things get turned up a notch. So thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.